deepest passions in life, sometimes the hardest to fully own. I've always been passionate about music for as long as I can remember. I love making music, I love listening to music, I love talking about music. When I was a child, I played the violin, and when I got a little bit older, I traded that in for a guitar. I've loved singing forever, and for a while there, I was a pretty dedicated songwriter. But it seems that no matter how hard I try to make music a more integral part of my life, surround myself with it, the more it seems to become just out of reach. And so that delicate dance of trying to fit it in becomes more of an all-out brawl. Now, if I were to try and tell you about all the times that I said I was going to do more with music, we'd be here for a long time. But if I tried to tell you about the times when I actually acted on it, that's a little bit more manageable. I've been in 3 bands. I've been in one band that sort of had 3 different incarnations. So tonight I want to tell you about the joy and elation of starting my very first band. And I want to tell you about the disappointment and struggle of trying to resurrect that band into something more than it was probably ever meant to be. And then I'll tell you about when that band came into being for a 3rd time, and while it was really fun, maybe took away from other important areas of my life. So, given my sometimes pathological need to be the center of attention, mixed with my passion for music, I think the eventual attempt at rock stardom was sort of inevitable. I was in college when I started my first band, and we had so much fun. We'd meet at my house on Thursday nights, myself on lead vocals, my buddy Greg on guitar, and Matt playing drums, and we'd just play our favorite songs. We didn't have a bass player, we didn't have any original music, we never played a single show, but we had so much fun. But in spite of all that fun, whenever it started to feel a little too real, I always had a great excuse for bailing from it. I always had to study for a test the next day, or I had a date, or I might get called for a job interview. And so as try as I might to make this thing real, every time it started feeling real, I'd back away. Now I don't think Matt really cared, but I know that bothered Greg because he really wanted to go for it. And so eventually that just kind of fizzled out. We stayed friends, but we quit playing music together for a while. And eventually when I reflected back, I realized that if I wanted to really go for it and pursue my passion, I needed to wade into that space that made me feel so uncomfortable and scared. And I decided that the next time around, that's what I was going to do. Well, the next time around presented itself a few years later. We had all sort of gone off in our separate ways and then ended up back in the same place. And we were all still friends, and we all still hung out sometimes. And every now and then there'd be a guitar over in the corner, and somebody would start picking it up and playing it. And so we decided to give it another try. And this time our friend Roger was back in town too. He's a bass player, so we had a bass player. I'd written a few original songs of my own, and we wrote a few more as a group, so we had some songs to play. And I even went out and found a place for us to play, a bar that let us play to an empty room on Thursday nights, which was awesome. But it was really scary, and I forced myself to do it. But in so doing, I was so uncomfortable so much of the time that it almost wasn't worth it. It wasn't enjoyable. So there I was, doing my favorite thing with my best friends, and I was miserable. And when the leader is miserable, the mission's in trouble. And sooner or later, that project kind of fizzled out as well. And what ensued, I guess the lesson that I drew from that, and I'm not proud to admit this, but was that it wasn't worth it to try really hard, to care that much. That it was better just find an easy road in life and just kind of go with the flow. And so what ensued was a period of time in my life that was really fun, but really pretty stagnant as well. And it was a while later during this period of time that the band actually came into being for a 3rd time. Now this time we all just sort of decided to come together and start playing again once in a while. And we liked it so much that we did it more and more. And by this time we were all kind of over our egos of our younger days. And I wasn't trying to make it something, I wasn't trying to be a rock star anymore, I just wanted to hang out with my buddies and play music. And it was so much fun. We started playing every week without fail because it was fun. And Connor threw a barbecue, and we played at his place, and it was so much fun. But it became such a focus for me just to having fun, and not really pushing, not just not pushing on music, I applied that lesson about not caring enough about anything to other aspects of my life as well. And eventually I realized my career kind of needed a shot in the arm. You know, I'd let things slide for too long. I decided to go back to school, which was a great decision for me, but when I did, I completely shoved music aside again. And just didn't, I haven't touched it for a while now. So, what's the lesson? What's the takeaway? I wish I knew. I mean, I'm not doing a lot of music right now, but I want to get back to it. I've had friends bring up ideas of playing again, and it'd be great. But I'd love to do it in a way that was a positive development in my life and not a stressor, not something that detracted, that gets me off where I'm trying to go. You know, I wish I could say that I knew exactly what the right answer was. But here's what I can say, here's what I can stand behind. If you're like me and you can't quite figure out your relationship with your true passion, don't get lost in it, but don't give it up. Set it aside for a little while if you have to, but don't write it off. And whatever you do, don't tell yourself that you were silly for caring in the first place. I'll get back to music again, and I'll try that delicate dance one more time. It might not be perfect, but it'll be good. And I can't wait to show music what I've learned in the last couple of years. I've got more confidence. I'm a little bit better of a leader. Frankly, I'm just older, so I'm better at moderation. I don't go all in on things quite as much as I used to. I've got some focus. I don't know if it's going to be perfect, but I'm going to try that delicate dance one more time. I'm going to fail a little bit better. And I guess the best thing I can hope for is this time I keep the tune playing.